Heyo, I'm Colby from Sanitarium Productions. We're back again with another G.I. Joe action figure review. In this episode, we're taking a look at the G.I. Joe Club.com exclusive. This is the final 12 figure pack. This is figure 2 out of the set. This is Lowlight in his Slaughter's Marauders uniform. Very awesome looking figure. So the Slaughter's Marauders version of Lowlight was actually issued in one of the online retailer exclusive 7-packs, which featured a whole bunch of Slaughter Marauder figures, including the Renegades. But it was a slightly different design than what we have here and what we had in the vintage release. So the G.I. Joe Club kind of took it upon themselves to rectify that situation and came out with a more traditional version of the Slaughter's Marauders Lowlight figure. And that's what we get here. Very cool looking. It comes on this nice card art here. It really does look really nice. I've always really had a good appreciation for this particular line of figures, the Slaughter's Marauders anyways. For whatever reason, the color scheme just really works well for my tastes. I know it's slightly different than what most people are expecting, and it slightly dips into that kind of neon craziness that they eventually got to in the original vintage G.I. Joe line. But for me, this kind of just hits that sweet spot between not quite over the top and a slight departure from tradition. So for me, I like this guy. I like the color scheme and everything. It looks really cool. Let's take a look at the figure. The back of the card itself has a enhanced version of the actual profile here, along with the Slaughter's Marauders logo. We have the G.I. Joe Club exclusive 2 of 12 on the side, and we get the file card down here at the bottom. So let me get some light on this, and y'all are welcome to pause it right here if I can hold it still long enough. There we go. Pause it and read through that at your leisure. I'm not going to bother with it, but anyways, we actually got the cool vintage version of Lowlight. So let's go ahead and unbox this guy and take a look and see what's inside it here. So again, so this was originally released at the website here, GIJoeClub.com. You had to be a member, and then they basically, the store itself was closing, and they had these last 12 figures that they were able to produce before they closed down. So it's sad that they are closed, but you can only get this thing through the secondary market now. So here's a nice shot of the actual card art itself without the figure. Very nice. I always like this card art. Let's take a look and see what we got here. So we do have the figure itself, obviously. Very nice looking, and we will zoom in here in just a moment, so stick with us on that. We do have a little bit of tape here holding some of these accessories in place, so we're going to just slice that tape off right there and up here at the top. I think that's all we got here. Well, we got a backpack here. Very nice. It does have the Slaughter's Marauders logo there on the top of it. Some nice blue highlights. Again, we'll do a zoomed in version look at that thing here. We have this awesome sniper rifle with the tripod that just popped off. Bipod, sorry. It has only got 2 legs, so bipod. Very nice. And we have this cool looking Uzi thing right here. Put it right there in the center so you can see it. We also get this crazy GPS unit or cell phone unit or whatever you want to pretend it is. For me, it makes more sense as like a GPS tracker. He's kind of a sniper guy. So, and we also get the very cool looking figure stand. So that's all we got. We'll toss this packaging over to the side. Some cool accessories. So let's go ahead and adjust the camera here to zoom in as best we can. Bear with me for just a second as I move one of these lights around. And straighten this out a little bit. That looks pretty good, I suppose. Alrighty, so we did get a couple of different versions of low light in the modern era, so this is kind of no real exception here. We're going to start off here with the figure stand here. Nice traditional G.I. Joe raised logo on the top, 2 foot pegs. We have the code name there on the front. This is also in the nice brown chocolatey color instead of the traditional black that we get for most stands. But it's really nice dark brown here, so it's a kind of cool little thing here for your Slaughter Marauders figure. So up next, let's just take a look at the backpack. Try to get this thing to focus for us here. So we have a very cool looking pack here. It's the same one we've seen in previous releases of low light here. Some really awesome detail all the way around. We do have some nice blue color highlights there. The Slaughter Marauder logo there on the top. Very nice all the way around. So the pack itself is openable. So there's these little latches here at the top here. Just kind of stick your finger in there and pop those out. See, they're little peg things, if you can see that. So just pop both of those out. They're real small, so so pop one of them out and then just yank really hard on it to get the other one to come out. And then this piece here will actually fold out to open up that cavern there. And then this piece just pops up. And you got a really cool big area here to play in. So very nice. And you just kind of collapse it back down on itself. Snap those back in place, and a very cool backpack. Got a peg in the back of his vest here, which actually looks kind of small here, but in theory you've kind of pegged this in, and it is made out of that real soft plastic, so it's not going to peg in very easily, unfortunately. But if you work it a while, it should go in there. When you're doing that, make sure that you line up the peg in his back as well as in his vest here. You can kind of look in there and see how to do that, but this one's not lining up really well. I'm probably going to need to heat that up a little bit and kind of widen it a little bit to get it to work correctly. But in theory, you would just peg it in there. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. It's kind of a shame that that's the way that is, but it is the way it is. So moving right along, we do have this really nice looking Uzi. We can get the focus in here. Some nice details. Very cool looking. Kind of a traditional Uzi that we've seen with a lot of other characters, but it's one that he is kind of always carried around, so very nice that they include that. We also have this little electronic module thing here, GPS tracking unit or cell phone or whatever you want to call it. Some nice little detail in that thing. Keep moving it out of focus, so I apologize for that. Try to get the light here. Some nice textures on that. And I dropped it. So that kind of fits in his hand pretty easily. Well, I say pretty easily. There we go. So just kind of shove it around a little bit and it fits in his hand. And it'll also fit there in his backpack if you don't want him carrying it around like that. But it's pretty cool. It's a nice little accessory as well. The other piece we get is the actual sniper rifle. And I'm going to try to move this guy to the side to try to keep this thing a little bit more in focus. Some really nice detail work on this thing. Again, I don't know models or anything like that, so if you have more information on what type of actual real world weapon this is modeled after, drop those in the comments section. You do have a collapsible stock, just moves forward and backwards there. Very cool. Does have the removable bipod. Just snaps on there, snaps back. You can rock it all the way forward like that to collapse it, or leave it forward like this. Works pretty well. We also have this large silencer piece on the front end. Usually, yeah, okay, so this is actually removable, so you can just pop this off and it just fits over the muzzle of the barrel like so. Very cool though. But you can pop that on and off, and again, stick that in his backpack if you want. So it's a pretty cool looking weapon. The other thing you will notice here is on the very top here, we've got two little peg holes. Those two little peg holes are actually for this little accessory on his left thigh. He actually has the scope that pegs in there on his side there. So we just unpeg that, and then that will just slide right into those peg holes like so. And you got a cool scope on your weapon. The other thing I'm not sure about is the clip. It is not removable. We've had a couple of these where, not this specific one, but some weapons that we've seen in the past have actually had removable clips. This is not one of them though, but still some really nice detail work on this thing. Let's pop that out. Very cool looking. Really nice work all the way around for that guy. And then the stock just slides back in there like so. And yeah, that's cool. That's a nice weapon. We'll move on to the figure itself. We do have one more accessory on his person here. On his right thigh, he does have a knife holstered. I do love the fact that they include holsters for all these guys. It's just a kind of a regular combat knife here. I will stop dropping it. Some nice detail work there on the hilt. Get the light to go a little bit. Pretty nice, and it does fit there in his holster there real nicely. Very cool. We'll just toss that to the side there. I guess technically his goggles count as an accessory because they are removable. So let's just pop those off and take a look at those up close. Very cool looking goggles. I like the fact that they did put the little blue paint job on there. So it fits over his head very snugly. And he's able to slide down over his eyes like so. Makes him look very cool. And if you want to, you can always just pop the goggles up over top. And he still looks pretty cool like that also. So, and for whatever reason, I actually like him with the goggles down. I think that's mostly because pretty much all the artwork we see with this guy, he's always got the goggles on his eyes. So that's kind of what I've kind of gotten used to. So it kind of looks funny with him out the goggles. So I'm probably going to leave him on there that way. But let's take a look at the figure here. Again, some really nice sculpting work here. Some nice detail all the way around. His cool beanie hat thing. Some nice cool hair effect. Pretty decent face sculpt here. Pop these up for just a moment. The eyes may be a little wonky, but looks pretty good. The flak vest looks really awesome. Lots of detail all the way around. He's got some nice grenades there, some pouches, cool shoulder thing. Some really nice detail there in the back. Again, as we pointed out a little earlier, That peg hole is just a little too small for what it needs to be. So you may have to enlarge that one if yours is like mine. Moving on down, got some cool detail in his pockets on his backside. Some nice detail work on his pant legs. Nice boots. Cool knee pads there. Some nice design going on there. We have the little attachment there for his scope to attach to, and the holster for the knife. And so this is the way that his vest attaches. Just got a little peg in there. These things are notorious for popping loose, so if that happens to you, you can just kind of pop it back in place. You may need to heat it up in a little bit of warm water to get it to kind of bend over the right way, but it's really not that much of a detraction. Looking at his arms, some nice cool, I don't know, elbow pads, I guess. Cool gloves, cool shoulder pads. All in all, this is a really nice looking figure. The color scheme works pretty well for him also. Let's take a look at the articulation. The head does spin 360 degrees. The flak vest gets in the way a little bit, but not too badly. A little bit of up and down motion. A little bit of side head tilt there going on, so that's very cool. Standard ball and swivel at the shoulder joints. This armor piece here does limit his mobility just a little bit, but not too badly. Standard ball and swivel at the elbow joint. We got a swivel and a rocker here at his wrist. Very nice. We do get the standard rib cage twist feature and plenty of ab crunch going on. Again, his vest kind of does limit that a little bit, but as you can see, you can just pop that little joint out and it's fine. Standard T-hooks at the waist, so he has full range of mobility there. Frontwards, backwards, side to side. Very cool. We do get double knee joints here. And we get a standard swivel and rocker at the ankle joint. So all in all, great articulation here. It's a very cool looking figure. If the vest would stay attached a little bit better, it would be even awesomer. And if that little peg hole on his back were just a little bit wider, this would be a A+ figure, I guess would be the best way to say that. But as it is, it stands, it's pretty close to a really awesome, great figure anyways. We'll go ahead and gear him up here, slide his knife in there, grab his big gun here that I just popped the, there we go. I did pop the scope off of it when I was doing that, so we'll just reattach it here. No big deal, it just pegs in there. And I did it again. So that's a little bit aggravating there. You may have to put a little bit more force in it to get it to lock in place. Evidently, I am doing something wrong here. There we go. Then he can grab his other weapon here in his other hand, his little Uzi. And he's armored to the teeth at that point. We can't attach his backpack, and I'm not going to bother putting that inside of it. But so yeah, it's a cool figure. He can hold all of his weapons. Not counting the issue with the backpack for this particular figure. Hopefully, if you got this, you don't have that issue, but I did, so some of y'all may as well. Even with that little issue, this is really still a really nice looking figure. Again, I'm partial to the Marauders team roster anyhow, I guess. So again, I'm biased, so I like this figure because it's a Slaughter's Marauders version. But the low light figure itself is a really good figure. We've seen a number of these in the past. Probably the 50th anniversary release is probably the best one so far. But as a standard figure, this one is great. And again, it's a Slaughter Marauder figure. So, yeah, I'm not going to complain a bit about that. So, if you haven't already, I think you definitely want to pick this thing up. It is a really awesome figure, and it just works pretty well for what it is. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. That's all the time we've got for today, so thanks for watching. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to our channel. There's a little bell-looking thing up there somewhere that if you click it, it'll notify you when new videos are released, so, you know, feel free to do that if you want. Drop some comments down below, though, and let me know what you think of this low-light figure. If you picked this up, did you have any of those issues with the actual peg on the back, or is that just mine? If you had the original vintage version, you know, how do you think this thing compares? Beyond that, just let me know if you'd like to see anything in future episodes. If you do, I'll do my best to get it out and get it reviewed for y'all. And until next time, Yo Joe!